We've got breaking news in the NBA. The first major blockbuster trade of the NBA offseason has finally happened as Chris Paul is now on his way over to the Phoenix Suns as he has just been dealt to them. So, what is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Style back at it with another video talking, of course, some NBA in here to break down this massive NBA trade for you guys. So I'm going to break this down from every single angle, talk about why the Suns did it, talk about why the Thunder did it, and talk about who won this trade and why, and give you reasons for that. But before I do, guys, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe if you have not done so already. I implore you, there's going to be a ton of NBA content now with the draft, with free agency, and of course with trades. And I'm going to give my thoughts on every single breaking news that happened, so you are not going to want to miss out. So hopefully you hit that subscribe button, you hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I drop a new video, and that you're also following me, guys, on my social media links down below for my Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. So let's not wait any longer. Let's get into the analysis. So first and foremost, what was the trade? So let me pull it up for you guys, okay? This is the official trade here. We've got the Phoenix Suns, who got Chris Paul, of course, and Abdul Nader, who's a throw-in for salary cap purposes. I will explain. The Oklahoma City Thunder, on the other hand, got Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, Ty Jerome, Jalen Lecque. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but 2022nd first-round pick, which is protected, by the way, and I will get into that also. So that's the trade right there, okay? So basically, Chris Paul for Ricky Rubio and Kelly Oubre in a first-round pick, all right? The other guys are throw-ins, if you will. So we had been hearing about Chris Paul to the Phoenix Suns for a number of weeks now. This was a trade rumor floating out there, and I even gave my thoughts on it in one of my recent videos, so you guys can go check that out. And basically, after thinking about my thoughts and then after seeing the compensation here, because when the trade was first announced, Woj reported it, Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, and I didn't want to get my thoughts until I saw, okay, what is the compensation? Like, what did the Thunder get for giving up Chris Paul? And now we know. So now that I've had a chance to look at it and I've had a chance to kind of dissect it, here's where I'm at. This isn't that bad. This isn't that bad. And here's what I mean by that. So let's start with the Thunder side of things, okay? It's very clear what the Oklahoma City Thunder are doing. They're breaking everything up and rebuilding and starting over, okay? They didn't bring back their head coach, Billy Donovan, who's now the coach of the Bulls. They traded away Dennis Schroeder to the Lakers. Danilo Gallinari is a free agent. And now they're shipping out Chris Paul because, again, they are not expecting to compete for anything next year. And what happened this year with CP3 and Gallo and, Schroeder and SGA also is something that was just, gravy. It was the cherry on top. They didn't even expect to go that far in the playoffs, but they did. Cool. They know it's not long-term sustainable, so they decided to break it up. So when you break up a team, what do? You try to accumulate young players and draft picks. And that is essentially what the OKC Thunder got in this trade. They got their young player in Kelly Oubre, and they got their draft pick in the first-round pick in 2022. So in terms of the compensation for Chris Paul, who is still very good, a very good player, but has a very big albatross contract, which I'll get into, for offloading that contract and for still getting a young player and draft picks, I think the Thunder made out pretty well here because, again, Kelly Oubre was having a pretty good season last year. Ricky Rubio as well. Both of these guys are really good. Not really good, I should say. Fairly good. Kelly Oubre's got a very bright future. He's only 24 years old. So Ricky Rubio, I'm not sure if they'll keep him or not. But as far as Kelly Oubre, he can be a building block for them alongside SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So that's what the Thunder are trying to do right now. They're trying to get building block pieces, right? They've got one in SGA. Now they add another one in Kelly Oubre. And then get a bunch of draft picks. Remember, they got all those draft picks for letting go of Paul George. And use those draft picks to maybe flip it for a star or draft a bunch of young players. So as far as the compensation from OKC side, I know what they're doing. They got exactly what they want, and I think I like it. All right, now there's some protections on this 2022 first-round picks. It's not a straight swap, right? Like, it's not like they get whatever pick the Suns end up having in 2022. It's got protections. Basically, if it's a 1 to 12 pick, from the range of first pick to the 12th pick, They don't get it if it's from like 1 to 8. Like there's restrictions around it. I think it goes up until 2025 and then it's unrestricted at that point. So again, it's not ideal, but it's still a first round pick. Eventually it will be a first round pick no matter what. So I like this trade from the OKC side of things because bringing back Chris Paul made no sense, especially when you start to ship out Dennis Schroeder and etc. So OKC side, I like it. Now let's talk about the Phoenix Suns, because this was the side where initially I was very skeptical. I said, what is the point of bringing in Chris Paul here? Because does it really make you that much better, right? Chris Paul, again, still a very, very good player, but we know he is on the back end of his prime. And the more I thought about it, and then the more I looked at the compensation, I do think this was a risk worth taking, and here's why. Okay, we know the Suns obviously played really well in the NBA bubble. They went undefeated. Now, unfortunately, they did not make the playoffs because they didn't do well in the regular season before the bubble, and so they didn't get in ultimately in the playoffs. But they were obviously on fire, and so a lot of what they did was without Kelly Oubre, he did get hurt, and so this Phoenix Suns team maybe thought, okay, we know we're going to have to give up something for Chris Paul, but that's where I kind of think, okay, did you really? Because Chris Paul, I mentioned earlier, has a disgusting contract. He's paid $41 million this year and then $44 million player option next year. He's exercising that, folks. There's no doubt about it. So he's on the books for 2 years. And so when you have to take on a contract like that, right, like, do you really have to give up pieces because you're already taking on a contract? But Chris Paul played so well that now he's actually worth a lot or a decent amount to where you have to give up compensation. And that ended up being Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre is the biggest loss in this. Ricky Rubio is not a big loss. Ty Jerome, the other guy, Jalen Lecque, like that's whatever. The first round pick, again, with protections, not that valuable. So it's really Kelly Oubre, who I'm very high on, 24 years old. But here's why it was a good calculated risk. You've got Devin Booker, who's just been losing all his career in Phoenix, right? He is under contract for a couple more seasons, but you want to change the culture. This is what this is about. This is about a culture reset, all right? And the Suns could have kept Oubre and just build with their young pieces in Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Kelly Oubre, but what they decided to do is they decided to shake things up by doing a cultural reset. Now, Chris Paul's only under contract for 2 more seasons, so this is not a long-term move. But what it does allow is that it shows Devin Booker that you are committed to winning and you are trying to surround him with winning players. Now, Chris Paul hasn't won a championship, so you're like, Faiz, you're calling him a winning player. What I mean by that is Chris Paul is a veteran in this league, and even though he's not won a championship, Chris Paul's done a lot of great things. He's gotten far in the playoffs, and so it's a guy in Chris Paul who can help a team win, right? So that is essentially what this trade is about. It's a culture reset. You've got Monty Williams, who's a great coach, and he's the coach of your future. You've got DeAndre Ayton, and you've got Devin Booker as your core pieces. Chris Paul and his veteran leadership will hopefully, you would hope so, rub off on these guys and help them win. And look, this does not make the Phoenix Suns a title contender. It does not. All right, unless there's another move here. This is their roster come opening day. They're not a championship contender. Are they a playoff team? Absolutely. Not a championship contender. I just don't see it. But what Chris Paul does is it provides that veteran leadership, and it gives you and your young players a sense of winning. Eventually you get tired of the losing, and you just want to be able to show these guys that winning is possible. And so when Devin Booker's up for another contract extension, he is going to want a reason to stay in Phoenix, and this is going to show them, okay, you guys really actually did something to help surround me with a winning talent or good talent around me. Like, how long are you just going to have young players and not do anything about it, right? So you can only build for so long. So ultimately what I'm trying to say, guys, is I've warmed up to this move. Kelly Oubre is a decent loss here, but I do think this was a calculated risk for the Phoenix Suns. And again, Chris Paul is under contract for 2 more seasons. So it is a short-term move, but ultimately I do like it. The Suns are certainly a playoff team, maybe even a top 6 5-ish playoff team, 5-6-ish maybe, but I don't see them as championship contenders with the roster unless they make other trades. But overall, I like the move. I thought it was a good calculated risk. So essentially, folks, this is one of those trades, a rare trade that works well for both sides. Nobody got screwed in this trade. I think it was fair compensation on both sides. Both teams got what they wanted. OKC wanted to rebuild. They got their pick, and they got their young player. Suns wanted to get talent around Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. They did that in Chris Paul. And so in terms of, contract-wise, Ricky Rubio is under contract for only 2 more seasons. And then same with Kelly Oubre, but of course Kelly Oubre is the main piece in that. So again, long-term wise, it doesn't affect both of these teams as much. So that's where I'm at with it. I like the trade from both sides. So Suns fans and Thunder fans, you guys both did good. A rare good trade that benefits both. That's where I'm at with it. What do you guys think about this trade? Chris Paul to the Phoenix Suns. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below if you agree with me or disagree. As always, thanks for watching.